Howdy doody, all. Tonight's segment comes out of a request, I guess, from a couple of people that have asked me over and over how I get my feet to move as quickly as they do. It's really how I get my foot to move as fast as it does. It's only one. I guess I'm a little too old school. Never had pedals like this when I was finally growing up playing. So I got used to kind of a single pedal. For the longest time, I used a Ludwig Speed King. And then one miraculous day in the 70s, I transferred over to a chain drive by Camco, which kind of made me feel like I was on top of the world. I was really doing some kind of nice stuff with that. By the way, you're going to see this because this segment's going to be in actually two segments. I only have one camera, so what I'm going to do is do the video portion of this now, and the video that you hear in the second part is going to hear me talk, but I'm going to put the camera down by the pedal so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to try to explain some things as I'm going along. Well, in the olden days, prior to the double pedal, we as drummers tried to simulate double pedal action, doing rolls between a hand and foot. That was the only way we had to do it. Either that or you really had to be blistering fast on the pedal, of which I'm not. So I had to make a few workarounds. Well, when I first started with the show band, one of the things that I needed to do was build up my chop, not only for speed, but for volume. So I learned to play really pretty loud. Now, how do you do that with your foot? I used to use leg weights to build up the muscles in my leg. I've never been very athletic, as you can tell by my slim physique, but it was enough to get the oomph in my bass drum. It provided me something with that I really needed all along, and that was endurance. Didn't give me anything on speed, gave me power and endurance, because if you've ever played for an hour, hour and a half with some weights on, even though they're 2 pounds, those 2-pound weights start to feel like 30-pound weights after a while. Now, that's not the secret of how I tend to play. What somebody seems to think is pretty fast. To me, I think I'm just pretty average on the bass drum. I just learned to strategically place these beats to make it sound like I'm playing more than it is. As an example, notice all the offbeat syncopation and occasionally a couple of that. I'm usually kind of like a doubles player, and that's kind of been like my forte throughout. You know, those licks that I did in my other lessons, those are all doubles. Now, I know that many of you may want to see what I'm doing, and that's what we're going to get ready to do, but I need to explain one other thing. I use and have been using 3 books, for all those of you who read, that have helped me immensely with the double bass drum beat technique. This is not a double bass drum book. These are all single bass drum books, which could be kind of turned into a double bass drum book, And one's not even a bass drum book, but this is all how I learned to strategically place my bass drum beats. The first is this book right here. And believe me, I don't sell these things, I don't plug them, I just use them. This is Mel Bay's The Drummer's Cookbook. For all of you funk type drummers, this has got pages and pages of funk rhythms with strategically placed bass drum beats in all the most unusually syncopated places. Let me give you an example of some of the beats that they have here so you can hear where the thought is coming from in this book. If you get the picture, it kind of like goes over these. They're all one bar phrases, but they all use this funky kind of syncopated 16th rhythm to actually base all of their exercises. And this book has proved invaluable to me in making the snare drum and the bass drum really actually complement each other. The second book, which is the endurance book for me, another bass drum book, Colin Bailey's Bass Drum Control. Bass drum control here makes the bass drum an integral part of the drum set musically, not necessarily keeping a rhythm. It takes the bass drum and makes it linear with fills, bass drum beats. That kind of thing is what this book is all about. A milestone in playing bass drum. And the last book that I use, which is a killer in itself, and I can barely do these things at any kind of speed, is this book, and you can see it's got a big use. This is Stick Control by George Lawrence Stone, the Drummer's Bible, and I do these exercises with both feet. Those are the three that get me to where I am right now. I'm going to turn this lesson over to my foot because it is doing a few things that I think might help in your playing as well. What you're looking at is my left foot on the pedal. Notice that my foot right now is at a resting state and the actual beater is not touching the trigger, but it's pretty close to it. Well, I have a couple of techniques that I like to use. One I call the pump and land. The pump and land means knowing when you're going to have to relax your foot. Now, I play heel up for the most part. Heel up means simply not keeping my heel down on the back plate, but rather suspending it with my leg. As you can see, playing with my ball of the foot. Normally when I'm doing, now I just got done something that I love to do, which is called ostinato bass, which is just the double beats in a continuous fashion, and I like to play some things all over top of it. And I'm doing something when I'm doing the ostinato bass by hitting the first one, but then kind of landing on the second one. And that's why I call the pump and land. I hit and suspend with my foot, but then I bring it down, bring my leg down on the second one. I still get the beat, but on the second beat, it lets me relax my leg instead of trying to hover it up like all the way like that. I find that we need, as drummers, to relax these muscles as much as we can, whenever we can. And if you're doing something like that ostinato type feel, anytime that you can relax is more power to it, so to speak. So when I do 2, I do the 1 up and then land on the second. When I do 3, I do it the landing on the third one. So I guess you could say on the finality note of whatever I'm playing, I suspend for most of the notes, but on the last note, I bring my leg down and consequently do that little swoop, if you will. Now, when I'm doing the kinds of patterns that I was just doing here, you'll find that I suspend a lot more. And I'm using more of kind of just a pump with my toes. And that seems to, as long as I keep moving quickly like that, I tend to make sure that I'm getting my relaxation and kind of bebopping my foot around. Also notice that I'm using at times some strategic locations on the pedal. The pedal itself, this pedal right here, when I'm playing all the way up top, I seem to be able to, because it's close to actually getting the head in, I can get multiple beats pretty easily. When I want to do faster beats, I start coming back down here and try to use the leverage of the actual swing of the pedal, because when I'm back here, the pedal's coming back further, and I'm kind of using a whipping thing on the bass, like now, a buddy of mine actually showed me how to do, I was having terrible times doing doubles, any kind of doubles, with my foot at all. And he said to me, it's just a matter of where you know where the landing point is. And when I did those fast triplets, much less, those I use as kind of like roughs, where I'm doing 2 real fast and it's really kind of smashing down on the pedal and keeping it as close to, I bury the beater and then just lift it up to give me that nice little double smack with it. So there you go. I try to use all of the pedal. And notice the difference in volumes as I get down the pedal. That's where the weight of it starts coming into play, because it's actually adding more, I guess, swing with the beater to help with the accents that you need to be able to play at all those different volumes. If you want to ask me anything, please feel free to contact me on the website. Contact me at my email address, which is listed on my Carmine MW website at Wix. And I'll be happy to answer any and all questions that I can.